Hello and guten Tag. My name is Martin Krausch and I'm a Senior Systems Engineer at Brocade Germany. So, first of all, to all native speaking English persons, please excuse my maybe hands in their funny sounding German accent. Today, I would like to give you an introduction to our product line of ICX routers and switches. As you can see, this product line has a broad range of different models, starting at the access level and going up to the high-end 10 gig and 40 gig Ethernet core level. All these systems have in common the same command line interface, the same graphical user interface, they all have the same software release and the same set of documents, which makes it very easy to configure these systems, because basically if you know one of them, you know all of them. In this video I would like to give you an introduction how to establish the first management access to the box so that you can start configuring the systems in accordance to the demands and requests of your local area networks. So let's see what's in the box when, for example, ordering an ICX 7250 system. Well, of course, you will find the device itself and also a 2-post rack mount kit. Saying this, be aware that systems like the ICX 7450 and 7750 have their redundant power supplies and fans on the back of the system, though it's a good idea for these systems to order the optional 4-post rack mount kit to avoid some kind of hanging switches within your rack. Also we'll find some small documents for rubber feet. For example, if you want to place your switch on a table to avoid any kind of scratches, and a console cable and a DB9 adapter. So let's have a closer look at the front ports of this box. First of all, you will see that you have 24 or 48 gigabit Ethernet ports with or without PoE+ support, and on the right side you will see that you have additional 8 ports for fiber connections. So these 8 ports support gigabit Ethernet as well as 10 gig Ethernet optics, depending on the license which is implemented on the box. On the left side you will find a USB port and an out-of-band gigabit Ethernet connection, as well as a console port with a mini USB connector. Also will find stacking IDs which will tell you what kind of logical number this system will have within a logical stack. Regarding stacking, I would like to recommend you to watch my upcoming video about stacking of the ICX system. So let's also have a quick closer look at the back of the boxes. Here you can see that within the ICX 7250 series, the main power supply and the fans are integrated into the box. Saying this, please be aware that systems like the 7450 and 7750 systems do have redundant and modular power supplies and fans, which can be changed. If for redundancy reasons you should need a redundant power supply, you may order an external power supply for the system, which can connect to up to 16 7250 ICX boxes. Please have a closer look at the manuals to get further details of this external power supply option. After powering on the box, which is a little bit noisy right now, especially because this one supports Power over Ethernet with an integrated fan tray, you have to connect your laptop or PC via a console cable, which also comes with the box, to the system. So this console cable has an RJ45 connector at one end and a mini USB connector at the other end. So don't try to connect your system to your PC using your Ethernet port. That won't work. What you need is a kind of converter, which also comes with the box, which converts RJ45 to DB9, which is a typical terminal connection technology. Saying this, modern laptops like this one here don't support DB9 connectors. So what to do? You need another adapter like this one. You can purchase this online on any electronics store, and this can convert DB9 to USB. And this USB connector you can plug in into your laptop, and now all you need is an appropriate program to start configuring your system. In order to start setting up the box, first of all you need a suitable program, a so-called terminal emulation program. You may find different versions on the internet. The one I prefer is called Terraterm, which I just started. First thing you have to do is to set up the serial port. So here it's port number 5, the USB port with the adapter to DB9. And please set up baud rate to 9600, 8 data bits, no parity, 1 stop bit, and no flow control. So that's okay. Then establish the connection, new connection. Please select the correct serial port, it's COM port 5. Click OK. And after pressing return, you see you are connected to the box. So first of all is to enter the enable mode, it's a privilege mode. And as you can see at the prompt, you have the keyword switch. So, as I've said, the ICX 7000 series is capable of doing routing. And if we have a closer look at the software image, where I show flash, you see you have 2 flash regions, a primary and a secondary region. So within the primary region you see there's a software with an S in it, and within the secondary region there's a software with an R. So S basically stands for switching and R for routing. So it's a good idea to load the routing image, because the difference between switching and routing image just is that all routing commands are simply not allowed within the switching image. And if later on you want to use routing on the system, you would have to change the image, go back to the routing image, and you would have to reload the box. Also, configuration within switching and routing image is a little bit different regarding the virtual interfaces. So I would always suggest to load the routing image. How to do this? Just type in boot system flash secondary. Are you sure? Yes. Yes again. Now the switch will reload and come up with the routing image that we can start configuring it. I just skipped the booting process, and now you can see at the prompt the system says now it's a router. We can check this by typing show version, and in fact you see now the switch has booted from the secondary flash partition and has come up with a R marked software image. So R stands for router, and now all routing commands are available. So what happens if you have a power failure? Basically the switch will reload and come up from the primary flash partition. So that would mean it would go back to the switch image. How to prevent this? So very simple. You have to enter the configuration, terminal mode, and just type boot system flash secondary. Do a write mem. And now this command is written to the configuration, to the permanent configuration. So that means if you have now a power failure, always the box will come up and boot from the secondary flash partition. Okay, how to move on? We would like to configure now the interfaces to access the box via an IP network. So we have 2 possibilities. The first is to configure the out-of-band management port. That means that you have a separate network especially for management access. The advantage of this is that regardless what happens within your network, if you have broadcast storms, attacks, what else, you will have a dedicated access to the box. On the other side, you will need additional systems to establish a separate physical network just for management purpose. How to do this? The command is interface management 1, and now we have to type in an IP address. We will select 192.168.20.185, and the network mask 255.155.255.0. So, write memory, and that's all you have to do. Now you could connect your PC or your laptop to the out-of-management port and establish an IP connection. So, what if you don't want to set up a separate physical network just for management purpose? Well, then you would select to use the in-band management. In-band management means that you connect to the box via the normal Gigabit Ethernet port on the front of the box. Well, how to do this? When the box comes up, all ports on the front are belonging to one VLAN. It's called the default VLAN number 1, and I would call it's the home of the homeless. So every port has to belong to a VLAN, and basically it's the default VLAN number 1, which already exists. You don't have to configure this. And what you have to do is to give this VLAN an IP address so that you can reach the box from the outside. So, how to do this? VLAN 1 already exists, so you have to configure a routing interface on VLAN number 1. The command is router interface and VE, and then you can give it a logical number. I would always suggest to give the same number than the VLAN number, so we will give number 1 so that you don't mix and match it later on. Exit. And then you have to configure the IP address on this virtual interface. So very easy, you can say interface VE1 and now type in IP address, and now we try to configure an IP address in the same range than the out-of-band port and see what happens. We'll get an error message because the system says the out-of-band management port has to be within a different IP subnet. So, how to change this? Just press the arrow up button and then you can correct it, and let's say we change this to another subnet, also change this here, and now the configuration is accepted. So basically you can now establish an IP connection to the box, but what's missing? Well, in case you have a connection to a central router and this box does not know all routes, for example to how to reach the internet or how to reach other subnets, then it's a good idea to configure a so-called default gateway. So that means that this system sends all requests for all subnets it does not know to this default gateway. So how to configure this? We have here a routing image, so you have to configure a kind of a default route. Just leave this. It's called IP route, and it's a special route entry 0000/0. And now the target where to send it, well, it's a default router here, and that's it. Don't forget, write memory. And now we have a IP routing connection to the outer world. After successfully configuring in-band or out-of-band management access, you can connect your laptop via a normal patch cable to the RJ45 ports of the system to get the TCP/IP management connection to the box. You could also connect the system to your local area network just by plug it into your other switching or routing devices, and now you don't need this console cable anymore. Before moving on, please first check the IP address of your laptop or computer. Here's an example for Windows. Go to the control panel and then Network and Sharing Center. And here you can look at the details, the IP address this laptop currently has. And if you want to change it, there's a Properties button. And here, for example, for IP version 4, you can set the properties. Either it's DHCP or a manual set IP address. This you can configure here. And this should be within the same subnet range than the IP management address of the box you would like to configure. What you need now to connect to the box via an IP connection is a so-called TELNET client application. TerraTerm, for example, supports the protocol TELNET, so you have to select New Connection and then select TCP/IP as service TELNET, and you have the default TELNET TCP/IP port of 23, and you have to type in here the correct IP address of the inbound router interface. Select OK, and you see that you now have a connection to the system. What you also have seen is that when connecting for the first time via TELNET to the box, no password is required. So you can change this, of course, and tell the box that only some special clients are allowed to access the box or that a password is required. But in the end, TELNET is an unsecure communication protocol, so it's not encrypted. A better protocol is SSH, which stands for Secure Shell, which gives you the possibility to encrypt your messages to and from the box. How to set it up, I would like to show now to you. You have to go to the Enable mode and then to the Configure Terminal mode. And what you have to do first is to generate a kind of crypto keys, which are used for the encryption of the messages. So the command is crypto key generate. It takes a few seconds, and by default a DSA key pair is generated. So now it's done. What to do now? You have to create a user. So first a user name. I will call him IronView with a password. I will select management as a simple password. Okay. And then you have to tell the box that from now on an external login using this user credentials is allowed. So the command here is AAA authentication login default local, which tells the box, look at the local user database. If somebody wants to log into the box and if the username and password is correct, then you grant access, and then via Secure Shell the communication will be encrypted. So okay, let's check this out. We try to establish a new connection. Now we select SSH, which is a standard TCP port number 22. And here again the correct IP address of the box. Say OK. And what you see here, that's the crypto key. Say yes, it's OK. And type in now IronView and management. Say OK, and now you have an encrypted connection to the box. What you should not forget is to disable the unsecure TELNET protocol. How to do this? Enter the enable mode and configuration mode and just say no TELNET server, and from now on should not be able to connect via TELNET. So I will try this here, 23, say my IP address, say OK, and you see connection refused. If you would like to use the graphical user interface of the box, you first have to enable it. So enter the enable mode, then the configure terminal mode. Again, you have to configure AAA authentication now for web server and default local. Okay. So it's the same story like with TELNET and SSH. From now on you could use an HTTP access to the box, but HTTP is not encrypted, it's not secure, so it's a good idea to disable HTTP and to enable HTTPS, because this is a secure connection. So how to do this? First of all, you have to generate an SSL certificate. Command is crypto SSL certificate generate. And the second thing you want to do after this has been created, to enable HTTPS and to disable HTTP. So first, command web management HTTPS to enable it, and to disable HTTP just type in no web management HTTP. I would like to cross-check this just by going via HTTP to the IP address of the inbound management interface, and you see this page cannot be displayed. And if I change this to HTTPS, so yes, continue, then you can log in to the system by typing in the username, password, and now you are able to configure the box via the graphical user interface. In order to do a software update or upgrade, you have to sign in to a place called My Brocade. And after logging in, you will see welcome page, and under the support button you will see software and driver downloads, for example, and depending on the type of support service you have signed, you can here look at the different systems. So I am in Brocade SE, I have access to all the systems, and just for the ICX series you can go here and, for example, you can move to the ICX 7250 and select the most actual software release, which you can download here and use it for upgrading your system. In order to transmit the new software images to the system, you need a TFTP server program. The one I prefer is a small program called TFTP32, which can be downloaded for free from the internet. If you start it, you have some basic settings, so in which folder you will place the corresponding images. And here in this folder I've placed a new router image and a new boot image, which have to be transferred to the system. In order to start upgrading the boot code, just type in copy TFTP flash, then the IP address of the TFTP server, the exact name of the boot file and the keyword bootrom. Just click OK and you see that the system will now be upgraded with a new boot code. So, after this has been done, you also have to upgrade the software image, and now it's another file name, and now you have to specify where you want to download the new image. I want to download it to the primary flash partition. And now the upgrade starts. I'll just skip this. And just after transferring the software image to the box, you can check this by typing show flash, and you see there's a new image. If you want to boot now from the primary image, please don't forget to say no boot system flash secondary, because you want to activate the new software. Then do a reload, and here the system says please do a write mem. That's okay so far. Now do reload, say OK, and I will again skip this reboot process. And after the reboot, when the box has come up again, you can check whether the new software has been successfully enabled on the system just by typing show version. And you see now the box is running on a newer software 8.0.408. The last thing I would like to demonstrate in this video is how to implement a so-called POD, port on demand license on the system. So what does this mean? If you are going to the system and do a show run in config, you see that the 8 fiber ports are configured to gigabit Ethernet. If you do a show license, you see no license is at the moment active on the system. So that means you can use these 8 ports, but only at gigabit Ethernet speeds. If you want to upgrade them to 10 gig Ethernet, you have to implement a special license which you can purchase from Brocade. How to do this? Again, you need your TFTP server, and here is a special license file which is stored here. And now all you have to do is to copy this license file to the system just by saying copy TFTP license, then the IP address of the TFTP server, the name of the license file, and then unit 1, because this is unit 1. Say OK, and now the license will be copied to the system. After transmitting the POD license file, you can check whether it's installed correctly. Just type in show license. Now you can see it's installed there. It's a trial license in fact, and it's valid for a time period of 45 days. So, going back to the system, change to the configure terminal mode, and now you can configure 2 of the 8 gigabit Ethernet fiber ports to 10 gig speeds. How to do this? Just go to an interface like this one. So 1, 2, 1 means unit number 1, logical module number 2 and port 1, because these 8 fiber ports are belonging to logical module number 2. And now you can change speed duplex. You see here what you can configure here to, in this example, 10 gig full. Okay, you can also do this for port number 3. Same thing. Okay. And now just check this via show run. And here you can see that the 2 ports are missing here, and that they're now configured by default to 10 gig Ethernet speeds. As you hopefully have seen, it's not so complicated to get the first management access to the box. If you're curious how to connect the box to an external management system to get even more information out of the box, this I would like to show you in my next video. So for today I would like to thank you for your time and say goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.